Hey, I'm Mac. Welcome back to my channel. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe and consider joining my Patreon for access to new videos 12 to 24 hours early, as well as some Patreon exclusive content. So, today we're going to be taking a look at a call that was sent in by a subscriber. It is of a Kangen water training. Kangen water, if you didn't know, it's an MLM that sells these water ionizing machines primarily, where it's supposed to do something to the water. Basically, it makes it more alkaline, and this is purported to have all kinds of health benefits. Okay, it's I did a video on it. It's going to be linked here. And these machines can cost anywhere from $2,700 up to $7,000. Yeah, so they're very expensive. It's a very tough sell. So let's take a look and see what the strategy is, and we'll just see what happens, right? Okay, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I think like at this point, I have over $1 million in sales experience, which is actually crazy for me to say because I came into this with zero sales experience.
Okay, so what a load of bullshit. I guarantee you this is not true. When people who sell stuff are telling you this, you have to keep in mind that like this is also part of the sales process, right? Because they know that you're thinking, oh, well, I'm not a salesperson. I don't have any sales experience, so I can't do this. Right. That's your objection. She's trying to overcome your objection, okay? Because she's good at sales. So she's telling you, oh, I didn't have any sales experience, right? So it's that's just part of how good she is at sales, okay? Just so you know.
Um, I mean, I used to work at a jewelry store, but like,
Okay, I had zero sales experience, but I used to work at a jewelry store. Okay, come on. See what I mean?
and you're supposed to earn commission, but like I couldn't because I couldn't sell jewelry worth a hoot because I didn't believe in it.
Shut the fuck up. God, I'm pausing it a lot already.
No, I just didn't believe in it. So I'm like, whatever, if you want the zero point 0.5 carat, then let's get you that one. I had a really hard time like speaking truth into that, and this feels a lot different for me. So yeah, at this point, over $1 million in sales. And so I suppose that I do know how to close some sales, which is interesting. You like never give your
So we went from having no sales experience, right, to selling a lot of jewelry, right, to having $1 million of sales and knowing how to close sales. Let me tell you something. If you are not good at sales, or if sales working, if doing that process makes you uncomfortable, or it feels very like unnatural, or it feels very like icky for you, it's it's never going to not feel that way for you. You're just not meant to be a salesperson. Some people are good at sales and some people just aren't. And the sooner that you accept when you're not a salesperson, if that's you, I know I am. Like, in terms of like professions I could do, last place would be salesperson. I cannot do it. I can't. I can't. Okay. Someone says no, and I'm like, oh, okay, thank you for your time. Like, I have a hard time even asking the first time. Okay. Um, and some people can. Some people are natural at it. And I find that unless you unless you already have kind of a natural inclination toward being good at that, it's very much something that is not going to be able to be forced, or at least it's always going to be very unpleasant for you if you do force it.
yourself any credit. And then suddenly like Alicia pops into my messages and she's like, hey, could you do a sales call training? And I'm like, maybe I could. Like maybe I know how to close some sales. So let's do this. Okay. So I think one little like just like a couple little pointers like right off the hop. One thing is that I always like have a notebook with me. I don't know like other people who've like done calls. I don't know if you do, but I do recommend it because it's nice to be able to take a couple of notes while you're on the call of just like little key words that they say so that you can like repeat those back to them.
Doesn't that already feel so icky that like you're writing down there? It's so manipulative. You're like writing down their keywords so that you can repeat them back to them. Like, heaven forbid you should have an actual conversation. Of course, you can't have an actual conversation because if you were having an actual honest conversation, there would be legitimate objections to a worthless $2,000 water machine, right? That doesn't do anything. So you can't have an honest conversation. You have to write down their keywords and repeat them back to them. That's so icky to me. I don't. Ugh. Ugh.
Them at like kind of crucial moments. And then also, I usually write down a couple of little notes about who they are according to what they filled out on their questionnaire beforehand. So that I just have those notes kind of on hand because sometimes
You know who else gives a questionnaire before they suck you in? Scientologists.
you can get on the call and, maybe one of my children is around and needs something all of a sudden, or like something happens and I'm like, who is this again? Like I can't remember anything about you. So it's kind of nice to just have like a couple little notes. Um, and then another thing that is good when you're doing a call is to so I do all my calls in Zoom. I took the red sales training with Kayla Hodges, real empowering disarming questions.
Thought she was gonna say I took the red pill.
And she suggested doing your calls not on Zoom. And then I went through Kiela's sales training, and he also suggested not face to face, like doing a phone call. Um, they both say that people can open up more when they can't see you, because then they're not like
I'm not saying shit if I can't see you. I don't like video calls either, but I hate phone calls even more because I don't like not being able to read the person. Like, I don't like that I can't see your expression.
embarrassed, like if they're getting emotional and they're like, feeling those emotions, they can
Why are we getting emotional in this?
actually let them out if you're not looking at them, right? But I don't know, I just don't like it. So, um, yeah, I mean, test it out, but for me, I tested it and I don't like it. So I'm not going to be doing that anymore. Yeah, I see that question in the chat, Jen. Yeah, I think it's like 30 to 40 minutes. And so, I mean, you can borrow mine if you
Jesus fucking Christ.
need, but also I'll be on your calls with you for the first bit as well. So, yeah, so I do all my calls now, like aside, like for 3 years, aside from like a month and a half, I've done all of my calls on Zoom. Um, you can put, you can make just your two heads small, like use the little arrows to like shrink it up so that you can bring them up near the top so that when you're looking at them, it's like you're looking at the camera. So they'll
I mean, that's actually like, that's just generally a good tip if you're doing like a one on one thing in a Zoom call or like on Teams or whatever. Like you want whatever you're going to be looking at the most to be up near where your camera is so that your eyes are like where they're supposed to be.
actually see you looking at them. If you have it big and they happen to be on the bottom, then when you're talking to them, you're looking like this instead of like this. So if you like have them really small,
But it does feel really manipulative in this context. But yeah, it is, that's just a good tip in general. Like I feel like a lot of times people don't think about the fact that where you're looking when you're on camera impacts how you come across.
and bring them up near the camera, then it'll actually appear to them like you're having a conversation with them.
It'll appear to them like you're having a conversation with them.
This is the format that I have been using and following. It is based on, I mean, it's based on the red method as well as Kiela's method, which I think at this point is just like, it's the sales call method. It's like really about like connecting with them, asking them some questions, and getting them to sell themselves or to sell themselves out of it
What
because
are you, a pimp?
I don't want to convince anybody. I want to ask them questions that when they respond, they convince themselves
Go
that
fuck yourself. Fuck you. That shut up.
That yes, this is good or no, this isn't. So my goal is not even actually to close, it's to get them to determine whether this is a yes. And if it's a yes, then I want to close.
Okay, it's not a yes.
So let me just minimize the screen
I
here. And
fucking hate when salespeople act like they're not trying to sell you on anything. Like, shut up.
okay, so Alicia, I'll pretend that the meeting just started and you and I both hopped on, okay?
Sounds good. Would you like Colin to be on the call or not? He was not on my sales
Okay, he
call.
was not on your sales call. Would
No.
it be uncomfortable for you if we talk about you while you're sitting right there?
A fly on the wall.
Okay, well, let's pretend that you're not on the call then. And to be honest, I prefer the husband not on the call. In my experience, aside from Chantel, the husband always shows up to the call without any knowledge. They've never watched the videos and they're like, cool, let's do a Q&A. What's a quad? Can you tell me about the K8? How does it work? How do you hook it to your faucet? What is hydrogen water? And I'm like, no, I'm like, go watch the stuff. Like, I'm not here to just do a Q&A of all the videos I've already recorded. So my preference is not. Unless, and I mean, you can also pre-frame that as well. Like once I kind of got the drift that like husbands show up unprepared, I started saying like, he can be on the call, but if he's going to be on the call, he has to have watched this in advance. So that's kind of a way that you can like navigate it. Oh, hi, Alicia. Okay, perfect. Here you are. Can you see me and hear me okay?
Yeah, everything's good.
Okay, wonderful. So I just want to confirm that you've got about 45 to 60 minutes set aside for this call.
Yeah, now's
Absolutely not. Also, the husband, God, are the straights okay?
a great time.
Okay, perfect. And yeah, I just want to make sure that I have your full attention for it. So like if there's any distractions, I don't know if you have any children or anything, but if there's any distractions or
If
anything
there's any children, I need to take them out back and shoot them.
that's kind of going to be like bothering you, maybe we could reschedule, but if not, then we can proceed because I do want to be able to have your full attention. This could be a really important conversation for you. And so I want to make sure that we can, you know, both meet here in this space where we have some time that we can actually just chat. Does that sound okay to you?
Yeah, totally.
I can't imagine getting that spiel and being like, yeah, it's a great time for that. Please continue. Like I can't get into the same headspace as someone who's like, yeah, let's keep going with that. It's like alien to me.
Okay, perfect. So my job here is to mentor you through this call, and I'm going to be asking you some questions that maybe will force you to kind of like open up a little bit and to just like have a real conversation with me because my goal and intention for this call is for it to, when it comes to an end, for you to have the clarity that you need. And the way that we get that clarity is by having a very open and honest conversation. And when I ask the questions, you'll notice in your responses, you'll find the answer in your own responses. So that's the intention of the call, is just to ask some questions that will help you learn the answer of whether or not this is right for you. I will also kind of like preface that by saying that if the person has already like very much indicated to me that they're planning to do this, then I don't really say that because you don't want to be like, they're planning to do it and now I'm gonna like plant some like doubts that maybe they're not, right? Like if they're planning to, then you just like full throttle, right? But if they're like, if you don't really have a sense of it, then I'm like, hey, I just like want to, you know, ask you some questions that you can kind of like, you know, get
Officer, it's not even my car.
a sense of it, okay? Okay, does that make sense to you? Does that sound okay?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, perfect. So, I mean, can you just kind of explain to me? And I did go through your questionnaire, so thank you for filling that out. And there was lots of information in it, which is really nice. But it's sometimes nice to just like chat through it and kind of like have it in your own voice. So, I guess what's going on for you in your life right now that has you even kind of like considering an alternate stream of income right now?
Okay, so this is key to any MLM recruitment process. You know, nobody joins an MLM when things are going really well, right? So there's always going to be some vulnerability because like when you join one of these things, it's not because you're stupid. It's not because you are, easily duped or that you're gullible necessarily. I mean, maybe you are, I don't know. Um, but the key thing that absolutely has to be true is you have some sort of vulnerability at that point in your life, right? There's always going to be either like you lost a job or like maybe there's some kind of difficulty with the family or whatever. There's always going to be some major vulnerability that they're able uh, to exploit, right?
Yeah, for me right now, I'm working as an office manager, and the environment I'm in is just not a great environment. Unfortunately, it's a family-run business, and I've gotten really close with the family, but that also means they treat me like they treat their family, and they treat their family pretty poorly. So I'm just finding myself so anxious every single day. I don't even want to go to work. I've actually been calling in sick to work a lot, just because mentally I can't force myself to go anymore. Like I kind of mentioned on my form, my husband and I, we've been going through a fertility journey, and I've been diagnosed with PCOS. And that also causes me a lot of health issues and pain monthly. And once again, I'm calling in sick to work, and my work is starting to kind of push back on all of that. And I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place because I have to go to work to be able to make money, to be able to take care of myself and see the natural path that is helping me with my health. But on the same point, I kind of feel like my work is making my health worse. So that's kind of where I'm at with.
If only there were another way. And remember, like, this isn't even a real call. This is their like ideal scripted call.
With work.
Okay. I want to backtrack a quick second when I said, if there's any distractions, any children. I'm sorry if that kind of like hit like a spot in your heart. I struggled with fertility as well for years before we conceived our daughter. So I apologize if that kind of like hit on any nerves at all.
It's
So
okay.
no, and this
I
is
have
like
dogs, so it's the same thing, I
this is
feel.
me like as a human to you, but also on a call. I would also do that because
Yeah.
I struggled with fertility. And so I know that can kind of be a bit of a hard thing. So when that comes up kind of in that context. Okay, so you're saying, okay, so you've been calling in sick, you've been feeling anxious. I mean, that sounds like a lot, right? Like it sounds pretty overwhelming for you. I mean, how long would you say that it's been feeling this way, where you're feeling anxious about going to work, you're calling in sick, your health isn't well?
Yeah, so thinking about it right now, it's July 2021, and I'd say since the beginning of COVID, things have been really bad. So early 2019, or sorry, early 2020, my husband and I, we got married at the end of 2019, and after that, that's when we really tried to start to have kids. And we did make a couple shifts to try and see if things would change. We moved out of this townhouse complex we lived.
I just want to specify that it's not actually 2021 in this call. This is their little scripted thing. This training call is from November 2nd of 2025.
In, which was making me feel really anxious because it was just never quiet. We were on a really busy street, and we bought this new house, but now financially we're kind of strapped, and we're in this position where I can't walk away from my job unless I can earn a big income. So yeah, I'd say at least since the beginning of 2020, so a year and a half.
Okay, so it's quite a while at this point. Okay. Um, yeah, I mean, so I guess how would you say that that's been affecting you and affecting Colin? Like when you wake
She just explained it to you.
up in the morning, and you've got this anxious feeling, and then you do have to go to work anyway. What's the general like feeling around your house?
What do you think?
It's honestly not good if I could be really honest with you. My husband and I were fighting a lot in the evenings because we just have no energy for one another. And I'm finding it hard to, go grocery shopping and make meals. But my husband, he's working 12 to 14-hour days, and he's actually commuting. We live in Chilliwack, and he's commuting to Vancouver, North Vancouver, every day for work. And so he's not getting home till late in the evenings. And I just find we're fighting. And in the mornings, we're passing ships. He pretty much walks out the door when my alarm goes off. So yeah, it's not really good for us right now, honestly. We've actually started talking about separating because it's putting on such a strain for us.
I'm sorry to hear that. There's actually a lot of what you're saying is very familiar. We also lived in Chilliwack, and my husband also worked 12 to 14-hour days. And this online business is what kind of,
You know, she's just writing down these keywords, right? Uh-huh.
carved a path out of that for us. So it's just interesting to be on this call with you. I mean, why would you say, I guess, then, if it's been feeling this way for like a year and a half, why is it important to look to have a serious look at some alternative options now?
She just fucking said that.
I mean, I don't want us to separate. That's not what I desire. Like, I love my husband. I love the life that we're creating together. And I am aware that if I don't make a change, I feel like I'm losing control, honestly, and I want to regain control of my life.
Okay. And would you say that that's mostly due to the job and just the stress of the job?
Yeah, I'd say the stress of the job and the financial stress, and then also just not having any time. I mean, I leave the house at 6:37 and I'm home around 5:36, but then by the time my husband gets home at 7:30 and we're trying to have a chill down time and get food.
Frankly, if your husband's working 12 to 14-hour days, it kind of seems like it's your husband's job that is the problem. Like, I mean, it's hard to have a relationship with anybody who's away 14 hours a day. Like when?
And yeah, the time and the job, it's just I'm so stressed.
Okay. Just outside of the call for a minute now, I'm just going to kind of make note to everybody the things that I noted down. So I wrote down that she said, I've been feeling anxious. I've been calling in sick. I'm working so much. He's working 12 to 14-hour days. I feel like I'm losing control. I don't have any time. Those are like, all of those are like very much keywords, because in like, 10, 20, 30 minutes from now, as the conversation progresses, those are all things that I can reiterate to her. Like, is it time to make a change considering you are la di da di da? So I just wanted to point that out, because if you're like wondering,
I think they should actually say that, considering you are la di da di da.
what is it that I'm noting? You're not trying to note down everything they're saying, but just like those very like key words where like the word anxious is like, that's not good, right? She's feeling anxious. That's really not good. Okay.
Really? Because I think it's amazing. Sorry, I was looking up where Chilliwack is. Wait, you you live in Chilliwack which is over here, and you work in Vancouver? It's like it's like 100 kilometers away. That's like 60 miles. That's like over an hour of commuting. And it doesn't look like there's any like mass transit in from Chilliwack. Okay, listen, like I know that Vancouver is extremely, extremely expensive, but like putting that much mileage on your vehicle every single day is also very expensive. Like it's also very expensive to put 120 miles daily on your car. And it's also like that destroys you mentally. Like it really does. No wonder you're stressed. That's insane. That's insane. That's crazy. That's just, is there nowhere closer you can live? Like I think people really underestimate how expensive, how much money you actually end up spending on your vehicle expenses. Like that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Uh that's your problem.
so I mean, Say you were to fast forward and you look ahead 3 to 5 years from now, what would you imagine as your dream life? If you're just to like
Man,
move out of that state that you're in, that anxious feeling, that like overwhelmed feeling, you and your
Well, it's a province in Canada. My mental province.
husband aren't on good terms, what does it need to look like for you for it to feel really good for you?
I mean, if I were to think about my dream, it would be the fact that I could wake up on my own terms and kind of live a little slower.
I just want to confirm for all the Canadians and especially Vancouverites who are certainly wondering. Yes, I did hear Chilliwack and think, is that closer or farther from Whistler?
I feel like that would really help my mental state and also my health. With that, maybe living in a different area. I've grown up in the Lower Mainland and I'd love to move outside of it and try and, create more space for us, whether that be on a farm or a homestead or the ability to travel more.
What does that mean? What do you mean you've on the lower mainland? Canadians, help me out. What does she mean by that? Because, what do you mean? Like not in Chilliwack? What are you talking about?
And then another thing that I really want is to, yeah, just be able to work from home and design my own schedule. So if I wake up one day and my cycle is giving me some issues, then I can kind of just put things to the side and do things when I'm feeling a little bit better. Is that what you're kind of looking for?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not necessarily me looking for something in particular, but more just like, what is it to you? What are you looking for? What is it like for you in 3 to 5 years? And I mean,
Yeah, like I just care like so deeply about you.
it sounds like you have just this a desire for like more freedom, more space, like literally more space, but also more spaciousness in your life and the way that you can, just kind of make your own day. The PCOS and the issues that that's causing you and having to still feel like you need to go into work when that's happening. Um, is that kind of like one of the bigger things that's like really bothering you recently? And do you feel like that's really like causing a lot of the anxiety and the stress?
I think so. Right now, it's
A little invasive.
really hard because, like I said, mentally with my work, I don't really want to be there. And it's
Well, who does? I mean,
causing me a lot of stress, which I notice then flares up my PCOS. And so then when my cycle does come or I experience in extreme pain with like cysts bursting and whatnot, I have to call into sick to work. And
which shouldn't be a problem.
my boss is getting really angry and she's starting to say some pretty belligerent things to me about
I feel like Canada probably has protections for that, especially in British Columbia.
just having to suck it up. And I work in the trucking industry, so she always tells me like there's no room for tears in trucking.
Well, I mean, that's different from calling in sick. That's why you call in sick, so you're not crying at work.
Kind of thing. Meanwhile, I'm in a lot of pain and sometimes, I have myself locked in the bathroom because my stomach is just in so much pain, but I don't want to call in sick to work or tell her that I need to go home because then she'll get mad at me. So I'm just kind of in this cycle, this circle that I can't escape.
That's literally what I was thinking as you're saying it. It just sounds like a vicious cycle of like, I'm not feeling well, work makes it worse. I
I mean, it's literally a vicious cycle.
still go. And then it's just like, how do you get out of that loop?
Yeah, yeah. And like I
Yeah.
said, financially, we're strapped. Our mortgage and all of our bills, we've maxed ourselves out. We have this beautiful home, and our parents are so proud of us that we bought this big home in the city. But for us, it's just this giant stress weighing on us.
Okay. So if you're to picture yourself in 3 to 5 years from now, and
Big home in the city. You're in Chilliwack. Like, settle down. Like, also, whose fault is that? I mean, why did you buy a house over an hour away from where you work? That doesn't make any sense to me.
you've got some land, you're living outside the city, you're working on your own, you're able to work when it feels good to you, physically, mentally, emotionally. well, how would that make you feel? What would that feel like for you?
Feel like I'd feel like a whole new person. Just being able to wake up slowly, not have to rush out the door or even have to hear an alarm in the morning. It would put me at ease, I think. And, if I were to be able to bring my husband home from work, I know that that would change our life drastically and in how we show up. We're people who really thrive.
That sounds like a nightmare to me, like being both of you at home all the time. Oof. I would the working life might be driving you to separate, but this would drive me to get separated even more.
Well when we spend all of our time together. I know some couples are better when they spend a lot of time apart, and some are good when they're glued together. And Colin and I are definitely a couple that thrives when we're together. We're best friends, and
Yeah, you look like you are.
um, I just think it would feel like everything's supposed to be kind of thing. I just don't feel like we're supposed to be away from each other for so long in the day, and I don't
Is that a Canadian pronunciation? Supposed to be?
feel like I'm supposed to be so stressed and sick feeling. So I just think it would feel natural and healthy and abundant.
I mean, I feel like you're still gonna have PCOS. Like,
What about for him, for your husband, Colin? You know, what what would that do for his life? Not even like, okay, so you're talking about, if he could eventually leave his job, but even just if you were in a better state, what would that do for him?
Yeah, I think
province.
it would take a lot of pressure off of him. I can see it in him that he's doing everything he can to try and mitigate my stress. But right now we're just in this position where I don't feel like I have a lot to look forward to in life. And I can tell that
Jesus. Wow.
that really weighs on him, because it's not like he's in a position to be able to, take me on trips or travel or do these things to kind of fulfill that gap in our life. So I think for him it would take some pressure off, and he would also, maybe get the version of me that he fell in love with, because
Ooh. It's just maybe it seems like maybe you guys have just it doesn't seem like your problem is like your jobs. It seems like you have backed yourselves into a corner through repeatedly making decisions that don't make sense. And then you're like, why don't we have any money? Why are we having to drive an hour each way to go to work for 14 hours a day? And then you drive an hour back because you bought a house in Chilliwack that apparently you can barely afford, but I, I don't understand. I don't understand it. Anyway, but go ahead. Why don't you sign up for Kangen Water? Is that if that's the mental province that you're in?
I know that I have definitely strayed away from that person in these last couple years with just the way my health has declined, and I mean real life kind of stuff has brought us here.
Hmm. That's beautiful if he could have the person that he fell in love with back, right? Like yeah, how incredible would that be? Um,
Yeah, she sounds like she really means that. She's like, yeah, it'd be awesome. I'm really glad you had that experience.
I mean, so when you put it like that, when you phrase it like that, at the very core of it, like he could have back the person who he fell in love with. Would you agree then
Were you in an MLM when you got married? Because that might be a very different person.
that the cost of staying stuck where you are is too much at this point and it's time to make some sort of a change?
Yeah, that's because where you are is 100 kilometers away from where you work.
Yeah, I definitely think so. That I know for me, like I'm pretty much ready to do anything to make a change. I just know that I can't go on in this way.
Yeah, except like moving somewhere that makes more sense.
Okay. So do you have, sorry, what's your credit score back then, or do you want to just make one up?
Yeah, I don't even know what it was. I think it might have been like mid 600s.
Okay.
It's higher than mine.
Hmm?
Yours was really good.
Yeah, mine was really good. I had really bad credit when we met, and Colin had really good credit, and then we bought a house and it went like this. And like my
Oh.
credit skyrocketed and his credit plummeted. So
Okay.
I think it was like 680 something. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
That's not very good.
Okay.
Are Canadian credit scores the same as American ones? Because that's not good.
Yeah, so that would be like doable.
How predatory is this getting, right? How invasive to ask that. I If someone asks you your credit score in this context, just hang up the call. End the call. Press end, X out. It's over. Like, just block them. Don't talk to them.
Okay. Okay, back to the call. Okay, so it sounds like you're thinking, yeah, like something needs to change. It feels a lot like in our conversation, like you're kind of at your wit's end. You're done with this cycle. You know that you need a way out. You have just a simple vision of just like a more peaceful future, more love, more time. And so, I mean, obviously, like you went through the discovery process, you learned the
I just want to like highlight that the vast majority of people who try this are going to lose money, a lot of money, because this thing costs thousands of dollars. So they're going to spend this fantasy, right? But I want you to remember that in most cases, a situation like this, if she closes this sale, what's going to be the future is this husband and wife who are struggling, who are like kind of at their wits' end, who are working 14 hours a day and commuting 100, 200 kilometers every day, right? And who are having health issues, who are financially strapped, are now going to have that on top of trying to sell these machines to other people and also having spent a bunch of money on their starter kit. So now they're still working unless they are dumb enough to quit their jobs. They're still working all that. They're still doing all that commuting. Now they're trying to, watch all these calls, host these calls, sell these things to their friends. So they're like alienating their friends and colleagues and, family, adding all of this extra stress, adding all this extra debt. So I just want you to keep in mind, like, they're going to spin it as being something you're totally going to be successful at. The vast majority, like 99% of them, that's not going to happen. Okay. The vast majority of them, they're going to lose money and they're going to be in an even worse place than they were to begin with. And she knows that. They know that. But they're lying because it worked for them, because they are near the top. Okay. And no one who's getting into Kangen water now is going to be making any money. It's too late. That ship has sailed. So keep that in mind. That's where they'll end up being.
information about the business. And so, like any business, there's an investment that comes with it. And so, did you have any ideas in mind for you as to how you would possibly get started?
Yeah, honestly, I love the discovery process, seeing people so lit up that really gave me hope that I could do this as well. And
Like what? Like Buck Cherry lit up?
I would definitely want to start with a quad.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, I mean the quad is definitely the most powerful way to start, and it'll get you guys a really good head start. Because you'll just be earning that much more right off the hop. And then in terms of like actual finances on hand, do you have an idea of like, so say for example, you can't take care of the entire amount. You're saying that you're very strapped for cash. Do you have like, we've got a little savings here, and I think we could use some of that, and the rest of it I kind of need help with, or where are you on that? Do you kind of have a sense of how you want to make it happen?
Yeah, honestly, I'm not really too sure. We don't have any savings. Our credit card is pretty maxed out. I think we have a line.
They have no savings. The credit card is maxed out. And now they're going to add this Kangen water debt to it. Do you see how evil this is?
Of credit, but I don't know. I've never utilized that. Colin kind of controls those finances. I'm not really great with finances, honestly. Colin kind of has taken the control on that because I like to spend money and I'm just not good at it.
Okay.
Boy. So is it that you don't want to get separated, or is it that you literally can't?
Okay. Can we do a version of this where you're like still not quite sure?
Yeah.
'Cause it's a lady who like you're just too easy. So like
Sorry, I know.
gotta be harder.
I was like, this is an
She called you a hoe.
awkward one because we there was like 6 months delay between me affiliating. So on my call with
Right.
Ricky, that was the conversation.
You know what? It's inappropriate that I'm wearing this flag. Let me get a more Canadian outfit. There we go. Now this is Canadian, all right? Promise me that when all this is over, you'll take me to Whistler Blackcomb.
Had, but then
And then you didn't
finances
start for
changed.
6 months.
No,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Okay. There's someone who I was talking with just the other day. And she, when we got to this part where I was like, like, so would you agree that the cost of staying stuck is, is worse than the cost of like, making a move and getting onto a different path? And she was like, well, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like she's
No. Like what I just described. Like, what's going to happen is someone in this situation is going to end up in the same situation that they were in, except now they're going to be further in debt. They're going to be placing tension on all their close relationships with family and friends. They're going to be devoting even more of their limited time to this thing because it's not easy. Do you know how hard it's going to be? Like, look, they're having to like sit on these calls like this. And they already don't have time. And then they're going to end up even more in debt and that's going to put even more of a wedge in their marriage. That's not going to help.
so scared. And then she was like, what are my chances of succeeding? So can you do that to me? So
Yeah,
that we
absolutely.
can kind of work through that and people can kind of see that.
Absolutely. It's also so hard when it's like I'm describing my dream life and I've really been able to create that through Enagic. So I'm like, okay,
Totally.
Shut the fuck up.
get yourself out of that.
Right. And be scared and like not
Yeah.
sure if you want this, right? Because now like 5 years later, it's like hindsight and you're like, this was a good decision. But
Yeah, this was the
pretend
best
that you're
decision.
not sure.
Okay.
This is called survivorship bias. So the people who failed at this are not the ones that are going to lead calls, right? Why would you still be in this 5 years later leading a call if you were successful? If you weren't successful in it, you wouldn't be. So it causes examples of success to be more available and more readily visible than examples of failures. It's sort of like it's easier to think of examples of successful movie stars than to think of unsuccessful people who attempted to become a movie star, even though there are probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions more times unsuccessful movie stars versus successful ones. But because the examples of people who have tried to break into film that you can think of are famous and visible, it makes it seem like it's easier to become a movie star than it actually is, because most of the examples of people who tried to break into film, most of the examples of people who tried to do that you can think of, did it because they're celebrities, they're famous. The other ones are not famous. It's a similar example of survivorship bias is when I believe it was either World War I or World War II, where aircraft were coming back and they were trying to decide where to add additional reinforcement to the armor plating on the aircraft. And they were looking at it based on like where there were all these bullet holes. And it ended up being that the places where you saw the bullet holes on the aircraft that came back were where you didn't need to add extra armor. Because what was happening was the planes that got hit where there weren't bullet holes on those aircraft, they didn't come back at all. So the places where there were bullet holes, those were places where it didn't really matter if the aircraft got shot there, because those aircraft still made it back. If they got shot where there weren't bullet holes, those ones didn't come back. So that's where the extra armor needed to be added, which is kind of the opposite of what you would think. Because you might think that where there were bullet holes is where you would add extra armor, because like maybe that's where they tend to be targeted or where it's easiest to shoot the plane or something. But that's not what it is. It's that those areas are not critical. Those areas can survive being hit. And wherever there's not a bullet hole is where you wouldn't have come back if you got hit there. Survivorship bias.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know really if this would cost more or if my current life costs more. I guess how often do people succeed? Like, do I have a chance of succeeding with this?
Yeah. I get asked that question quite often, and I always give like a very real example from my own experience.
Hey, notice how she's not answering the question. That was a very that the way that the question was worded is not confusing. The question they asked is, what chance do I have of succeeding? That can be answered as a number, and we know that Enagic has those numbers. Okay, that is a number. It does not require a story because an anecdote is not evidence. It's easy to think of examples of successful things, right? She's not answering the question. The question was, what chance do I have of success?
So I had somebody who started with me. He was the first person who started with me. He's a friend of ours and of mine and my husband's. And he started and he didn't even make it through our platform and didn't even make it into launching the business. So he is not succeeding. And he won't ever succeed. Like he won't ever make any sales and he won't ever make any money here unless he starts doing the business. So
do you see the manipulation that they're doing here? They're like, oh yeah, let me just start off like, look how transparent and honest I'm being by telling this story of like an unsuccessful person. However, they don't, for one thing, we don't even know if this person's real or not. And like, yeah, obviously if you don't try, that is true. If you don't try, you won't be successful. You do have to try. However, it's still very unlikely that you will be successful even if you do try. But this is kind of the manipulation tactic going on here, because they can't say that you have a good chance of success. They can't say that. But they can kind of imply it through this like manipulation.
I always tell people that it's not like, what are my chances? The chances are completely on you. And so
But they're not, though. The chances are dependent on how early did you get into the pyramid scheme. And most people, by the time you are hearing about it, it's too late. If you're hearing about it, more than likely it's too late, because it's very unlikely that you would have heard about it early enough into it, because when you're at the top of the pyramid, There's very few people discussing this business, very few people in this business. So it's very unlikely that the average person would have heard about it. So more than likely, you're hearing about it when it's too late. Especially because most of the time with these pyramid schemes, the first couple layers of the pyramid, those were handpicked. Those were not available to the general public. Those were like, a select few people. And they were probably pre-selected by people that the founder knew. It's not just a general call out.
So when you're telling me that, you're in pain, your marriage feels like it's failing, your health feels like it's failing, you're anxious, and you're going to work, that to me is like, I'm somebody who shows up. Like maybe even to an extent where it's like, I probably shouldn't sometimes, right? But you're clearly a person who like shows up. Like when you're like doing something, you're doing something. So I'm seeing characteristics of a person who does what needs to happen. Would you say that that kind of applies to other areas of your life, or is your work kind of like a one-off because you're like a little bit scared of your boss, or is that kind of just how you are as a person? Even if things are tough, you're still showing up.
Yeah, honestly, that's kind of who I
Except she's not, though. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with getting sick and taking sick days. You should take sick days when you need them. She has PCOS. Like, that's going to require you to take sick days sometimes. I'm just saying she doesn't always show up. So, and the other thing is, like, even if you do show up, it doesn't mean that you'll be successful. Most likely you will not be. It's just a fact. It's borne out by the income distribution statement. You more than likely, even if you show up, you're not going to. That's
am as a person, almost to a fault in that way.
Shut up.
Is that I will always push myself to show up to the best of my ability, even when things aren't really great for me.
Okay. So then say you start this online business and say, you're a couple months in and it's not going as fast as you wanted and it's challenging you a little bit more than you expected. What do you do in that situation? How do you show up in that situation?
I would say I'm one to really like struggle through things in a way, but I would hope that I would maybe be able to have some help. I am someone who like will ask for help or lean on community. I guess my question would be like, do I have to do this completely alone?
Yeah, okay. So I always know what we have to offer, and our community is very supportive. There's 24/7 support chats where there's people from all over the world. You ask a question about a specific topic and you put it in that specific topic, and people who can answer you or help you will navigate that with you. The platform is built out completely that you can go through from start to finish and you can learn as you go through it. And then I would be your mentor, and so I would also be available to you as well. But what I really thought was key.
Okay. If you asked me, how likely is it that it's going to rain today? And I'm like, that's an interesting story. So I've had people who go out there and sometimes it rains, and I've had people who go out there and it's not raining. And then I've also had people who go out there and it's when the sprinklers are on and so they get wet, but it wasn't raining, so sometimes there's dew on the grass, and if you're walking your dog out there when there's dew on the grass, your dog might like roll in it. Some dogs like to roll in the grass and your dog could get wet. And then if you're standing near your dog could like shake out the water and that could cause you to get wet, which is like a little bit different from rain and it's a little bit different from sprinklers. Now, what I have to ask you is, do you consider it getting wet if your dog shook it onto you, or are you talking about rain in general? I mean, so yeah, like, and such as. Would you be satisfied that I had answered your question? Like, I feel like you're usually looking for like a percentage, like odds, like what are the odds? You know?
There and what you said was that you're a person who will ask for help, because sometimes people will start and they can get a little bit, maybe discouraged, maybe a little bit lost. And if they don't actually speak to me about it, then I don't know. I don't know if it's something going on in their personal life. I don't know if they're actually wanting my help, if they're just going through something on their own and they're going to come back to it in a month or two. I don't know. And so sometimes I will reach out, but it kind of just depends because I don't want to like step on anybody's toes and I don't ever want to push anybody. When people start this business, this
You're pushing right now. Oh my goodness. It's like you can't just answer the question. And furthermore, if she can't answer a question now, how likely is she going to be able to give you a direct answer to a question later? And you're just going to get more manipulation because she needs you to stay in the business as long as possible because you're in her downline. Like how these people are the worst.
is their business and it's their own journey. I'm there to support you. I'm not there to push you or to breathe down your neck or to force you to make sales. It's your own journey. But if you're a person who, when you're struggling, will ask for help, that's huge. Because nobody will be able to assist you unless you make it known that you're actually looking for assistance. So I can say for sure that our platform is built out in a way where people can see success in it. That doesn't mean that it's just like you start and you succeed. There's a journey that goes along with it. There's a lot of growth that happens along that path. But if you're kind of getting lost in it, and you actually come forward and say that, then there's a lot better of an opportunity for us to actually help you through that. So I wouldn't necessarily say that
You haven't answered the question. How many out of how many people succeed?
like you have a good chance or you don't have a good chance. I would just ask you, based on your experience of how you show up, do you think you have a good chance of continuing to show up until it works? Are you the type?
Listen, I'm not saying that like is the person's characteristics and stick to itiveness part of it? Yes. However, that's not going to be sufficient to have success because a lot of people try really, really hard with these for a really long time and they don't have success. And guess what she's going to say when that happens? She's going to say, you're not trying hard enough. You're not sticking to it. You said that you were dedicated. You're not showing up, etc., etc., etc. That's exactly what she's going to say. So, you know, God, it's so manipulative. Notice we haven't answered the question. Like, yeah, like, we're not stupid. We know that some people are going to be better at this and more dedicated at this than other people. Obviously, some people are good at sales, some people aren't. Some people stick with things, some people don't. However, there is an average rate of success at this. And for some reason, she is unwilling to tell you what it is. Okay? Like we understand that there are personal characteristics and personal factors at play that determine the likelihood of success. However, we get it. That is established. Okay? So in the context of that, what are the chances of success? How many people out of how many succeed in this? Why won't you say it?
Of person who would do that?
Yeah, I definitely am.
Okay. Well, then lies your answer. You know, so if your biggest thing right now is like, yes, I want to do this, but I might fail. What are my chances of succeeding? I'm not going to give you a percentage. You give yourself the percentage and you just gave it. You said, I'm the person who shows up.
Right. She's not going to give you a percentage because the percentage that she would have to give if she was going to be truthful would be horrifying. Because it would be so bad that no one would sign up after that. Because there's no reason why you can't just say what the percentage is. Like, we've established that there's nuance to it. So what is it?
And I keep going until it works and I ask for help. So then great, then you're set. That's literally all that it takes to succeed here.
Well, you might be going for a really long time if you're going to do it until it works. Okay? You know, there's a point where you have to cut your losses, and they're going to, when they do trainings like this, when they give you support, they're going to make every effort to ensure that you delay realizing that it's time to cut your losses for as long as possible, because they stand to gain from it. I would, when someone won't tell you an answer here, that's a problem, not just in MLMs, in anything. When you ask a specific question that can be answered with a very simple, neat, and tidy statistic, and someone won't provide it to you, there's a reason for that. There's a reason they won't tell you. And it's because usually the answer is going to be unacceptable, or is going to be pretty conclusive in terms of what they're trying to convince you of. Because yes, there's nuance that's very important when you're giving like a number like that. But there's no reason that you can't first establish the nuance and then provide the number.
That makes me feel a lot more comfortable.
Okay. Okay, cool. So then now I would move into the financing part. Now that you've been like a little more difficult than like, yeah, I just want to do this.
She didn't answer the question.
This is great.
Give me the
Okay.
question.
Yeah. So then does anybody have any questions about that? Like that's how I typically try to navigate that. And that's kind of what I was pre-framing at the beginning as well. When I was just saying that like my intention isn't to get on the call and close a sale. My intention is to have the person close the sale on themselves. Where they're like, you ask the question and they sell you themselves, and they sell you the business and why it's right for them. Okay. So, and then we would move into the financial part of it. So, okay, I kind of had asked,
You know, the business sells themselves on it. They sell themselves on it. But you have to show up. Like it's all about you. I can't give you a statistic on it. I can't tell you your likelihood of success because it depends on the person and how hard they work. But the business sells itself. Okay, they convince themselves.
do you know, do you have anything kind of in your mind? I think you had said you have a line of credit, and I think you said a little bit of savings as well.
No, yeah, we didn't have any savings, and all of our credit cards were maxed out, honestly.
Okay.
So with our story, it's a little different because we ended up selling our house in Chilliwack and moving before I started. So we sold our house, we paid off all of our debt, and with that, then we had the availability to be able to, like, we use some of our line of credit, some credit, like we kind of split things up.
Right, right.
Listen, I know that like when you own a house, when you own your home, like you can still have money problems, but like the money problems that you have are so different from the money problems that renters have. Like it, and it is a little bit frustrating when you rent and someone who like owns property is like doing this shit. Because it's like, shut up. Like, I know I'm not minimizing your troubles, but you have equity. Like you're fine. Like it'll suck, but you're fine. Okay. Furthermore, I just want to like highlight, they sold their house. Okay. Right. And they took the equity to pay off their credit cards. Right. It was smart. But that's what got them out of credit card debt. Okay. That's what got them out of credit card debt. The business didn't get them out of credit card debt. They got out of credit card debt because they sold their house.
You know how at this part, sometimes people are like, I'm not sure, I don't have any options. And it's like, sell stuff in your house, like sell your car. Well, Alicia went and sold her house. Just so you clearly really wanted to start.
I'm going to guess that the primary motivator for selling their house was not the business. It was probably to pay off their credit cards, or at least it should have been.
Okay, so yours is a bit of a trickier situation. I mean, maybe could we like, how could we role play it? So the person who I was speaking with the other day has a credit score of 755 and has no savings, and seemed a little hesitant to actually like tap into that credit score. So that might be kind of helpful for people. Not that your situation isn't, but
Oh my God. These people are so predatory. They're just a little bit hesitant to put anything on that credit score. Fuck you.
I'm like, I don't really know. Like, so do we like reconvene all of us here in 6 months and be like, now Alicia's ready to go? You know, it's
I like invested $12,000 into schooling. So I did honestly have the money. Like we did
Okay.
have the money because we invested $12,000 into me going to culinary school before
Right.
we sold my house. So
Right.
we could have figured it out. There was maybe just someone who was controlling the finances who thought schooling was a better option.
No comment.
And wasn't catching the vision as much. And I mean, maybe we can kind of like there's a section where we kind of get into like, you know, if the husband is going to be an issue and we try to kind of like navigate that in advance. And so
If the husband is gonna be an issue, God, straight people, are you all right? You guys all right?
maybe we can go back to like the real Alicia and Colin in that at that spot. But for this spot, can you be a person with like, you know, you could make it happen, but you're like scared to kind of.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so you have a line of credit. Do you like, is there space available on it? And are you willing to access that, whatever's on it?
Yeah, I don't think we've ever used it, honestly. So I think we would have the space to be able to do it on our line of credit.
So you got to buy one of the machines to join, right? You know, just like any business that, you know, just like any job that you get where you have to buy shit, you know. So those machines cost like $5,000 US, which is going to be like what, like 7,500 Canadian. And I guarantee you they're going to say to put it on a credit card. I guarantee you at some point during this call, they're going to say that.
And do you know how much your line of credit is good for?
I personally don't. I know that every time we make a payment on our house, our line of credit goes higher, kind of thing. Like it's based on our house. So I would definitely say there would be enough.
Okay. Can you be like more though, like, but I don't want to use it. Like,
Okay, yeah. But I am scared to use it. It's just always something that like my husband has never wanted to put anything on this line of credit. We've seen it happen with family members and family friends who have just used their line of credit and max themselves out. And my husband, he does not want us using it for the line of credit. I wanted to pay off my car with it, and he just said no, like we're not putting anything on this line of credit.
Okay. And so I'm
Well, that was dumb.
assuming it's a shared line of credit, you and your husband, yeah?
Yeah. It's based on our house line kind of thing.
Okay. So I mean, there are some options because your credit score is a good credit score. So you definitely are available for some of our best financing options that we have, which is really great. You do have a line of credit. So like part of me wants to say, you know, maybe like access your line of credit, but there would be some interest on it. And considering you have a credit score as high as in the 700s, maybe this is something that would feel a little bit better to you and also to your husband as well. When people have a credit score over like 680, 690, they can apply for 0% cards. And if your credit score is that high, it's very likely that you would get approved. And the thing that's really good with a 0% card is that it's 0%. So typically people can feel a little nervous when you mention a card, a credit card, a line of credit, right? Even how you were saying, like my husband doesn't want to use it, right?
Mhm.
But typically what people are buying on a card is a liability. It's something that they can't afford and that won't ever make them money. So what's different with this is that it would be something that, yes, okay, you can't afford it right now, but it would make you money. That's the point of it, right? And so like any business, you typically have to you borrow somebody else's money until you've earned what you owe. And then you're in the profit zone, right? And what's really great about the 0% cards is that you're not paying interest in that meantime. And I mean, even if you were, so say you were to apply for the credit card, say you didn't get approved and you had to use your line of credit. And say over the course of a year, while you're making sales and you're trying to pay that off, you're paying some interest. It's the different, like the interest that you would pay, as much as it sounds like a large amount, and it is, like I'm not discrediting that, but it's literally like a trifecta sale or a quad sale, and that's all gone. So it can seem like a lot to kind of like catch up on. But when you're in high ticket and a single sale can earn you thousands, that interest that you've accrued or paid in the meantime can really go away in as low, like in as much as just like one single sale. So I would suggest to you, like if you feel okay with it, I would suggest you the 0% cards. There's two that we recommend for Canadians. One of them is 0% for 10 months and the other is 0% for 12 months. And so if that feels okay to you, because it's a little bit like it's better than a line of credit because there's no interest on it. So if that feels okay to you, I can send you the links for those and you could apply to those. Does that seem like it could possibly be something that might work a little bit better?
This is so manipulative. She's even got the links ready to go. Listen. These companies that issue these credit cards, they're very smart. Okay? They know what they're doing. Okay? If they didn't stand to make a ton of money on interest, they wouldn't offer you this. If they thought that it was likely that you would pay off the balance before the 0% interest period ended, they wouldn't offer it to you at all. They offer you a 0% interest offer because they know it is very unlikely you will pay that balance off. They want you to carry a balance. Because when you carry a balance, the interest on a credit card compounds daily. I don't know what it is in Canada, but in the US, the average interest rate on a credit card is like 25, 27%. Also, I would just point out that earlier she said that if you can't just quit in the first couple of months, right? You have to stick to it. You have to be someone who shows up. Because if you're someone who just gives up after a couple months, you're never going to be successful in it. Interesting. So that's interesting, that couple of months there compared to the ticking clock on that interest-free period for that credit card. Just in general, with those 0% offers, I know you think that you're special. I know you think you're an exception, but you're not. Okay? You're not. These credit card companies have been doing this for a while, and they're very smart. And they know that you will probably not pay it off. And a lot of times after that 10 months, there is a special interest rate after that is higher than than the normal interest rate. Or it can even be the case that the interest you would have accrued over that period becomes due after that if you don't pay it off before that interest-free period ends. Once it ends, suddenly they add that interest on. It's very manipulative. And even if you were in a normal, business where you were likely to make money, it would be very unlikely that you would make enough money to stay ahead of the interest that accumulates on a credit card. Like it would just be very difficult because it compounds daily and the interest rates are so high. Like it's just not very likely that you're going to make enough money to stay ahead of a credit card interest rate.
Better than the line of credit, especially because of your husband's kind of like hesitations around the line of credit with previous things?
Yeah, that sounds better because it could probably just be in my name.
Okay, perfect.
Man, if I was offered that, I would have started.
I know, right? I know.
Yeah, well, if I were married to you and you opened a credit card without telling me that you did, like, I would divorce you. Like, that's a major financial decision. I don't know. Why aren't we talking about this?
Oh, I don't know. Like the 0% cards, it's like if people have that high credit score, it's like it's the perfect option. Okay, so cool. So I'll send that to you after the call. And you can apply for it and then we can kind of just stay in touch with it at that point.
Yeah, that'll help your tense marriage.
And I mean, so you're leaning toward the quad. Typically when a person gets a brand new credit.
I just want to say that like that's different if you're planning on like separating and you're like making a plan to like get away from your husband or your wife or whatever. If you're planning on like separating and like applying for a credit card without telling them is like part of that, obviously that's different. Like that's different from if you're staying together and you're just squirreling away some major financial thing. Like that's where I was saying, like, if I'm married to you and you opened a credit card without telling me, like, that's a problem. Like, Like, we need to talk about that. Like,
credit card, it's not for, 15, 16, $18,000. It's usually a couple thousand. So we do recommend that you apply for both at the same time. And then, if you get approved for both, but say you get 3,000 and 3,000, you've only got 6,000. What is your plan at that point? Are you saying, okay, well, I guess this doesn't work, or are you going to work with me?
Okay, I guess it's like 16,000 to 18,000 to get started. Jesus. Okay, well. Also, if you're applying for a credit card and you're only getting approved for $2,000, your credit score can't be that good. Like, what's the deal with that? If you own a home and your home has a line of credit that you don't use and you have such good credit, but but when you apply for a credit card, you're only getting approved for a credit limit of like $3,000. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't add up to me. You would get approved for more than that if you own your home and you have a good credit score, supposedly. The math ain't mathing on that. Anyway, let's go with the okay. If you put $18,000 on a credit card, let's say you have a 27% interest rate, that sounds realistic. And let's say you pay $540 a month for it. All right. I'll be generous. Let's say you pay $720 a month. You will pay $8,700 in interest, and it'll take you 3 years to pay it off. 3 years of paying $720 a month. Let's see if you pay, what if you pay like $600? If you pay $600 a month toward that, you'll pay $12,000 in interest, and it will take you 4 years and 3 months to pay it off. So the total cost of this business, if that happened, would be $30,000. And that's if you paid $600 a month for 4 years. Well, you better make it work, huh? Ooh, hubby's gonna find out about that credit card. Oh, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Yeah, so probably don't do this. Maybe just, I don't know. Daddy, promise me when this is all over, you'll take me to Revelstoke.
To go through some other options, and are you willing to kind of like navigate that with me at that time?
Yeah. I mean, I guess what would be my options at that point if I only get approved for, say, 8,000 or 6,000?
You could become a hooker. I'm just throwing out ideas. Probably be more respectable than being in an MLM.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably the line of credit would possibly come into play. In Canada, we also have something called Medicard. So Medicard works directly with medical products. And so they work with Enagic because these products are medically certified. And so you apply to Medicard, they typically approve because it is a medical product. And then on the back end, Medicard and Enagic take care of that. Like you don't really have much to do with it.
I'm gonna assume this is like Care Credit in the US, where like it's like a credit card kind of, but like it's only for like medical or like dental procedures or whatever. Is that what this is? Whatever. I mean, isn't there still interest on that?
All you do is apply, they approve, and then when we submit the papers, we just tick off that it's Medicard, and Medicard sends the funds to Enagic. So it's actually quite like slick. It's pretty simple for people. But
That seems fishy. That seems fishy.
But that is an option that is there. It does have interest on it, but like I said, the interest goes away really quickly in high ticket sales when you make a single sale. The interest that you've accrued is.
Shut up. What do you mean the interest goes away pretty quickly in high ticket sales? That's if you make sales. Yeah, sure. But that's a big if.
It's pretty much gone. So that is an option as well. But yeah,
it's pretty much gone.
I mean, I've had people do all sorts of things. I heard of one lady who even sold her house. But I've heard of people who like, sold things from their own home. I've heard of
people think that their possessions are worth so much more than they actually are. Like no one wants your shit.
People who've sold their vehicles. There's
sold their vehicles. Jesus.
One lady who I worked with who accessed like 3 or 4 different things that she applied for, maybe even 4 or 5 that she applied for, got denied on a few, got approved.
You're getting denied for like your credit applications and you're doing this shit. This is so sad. This is so predatory because most people who do this fail at it. The vast majority, like 98% of them fail. Okay. 98% of them lose money. They lose money. They have less money going into it than when they started. Or they have less money coming out of it than when they started. Okay. So I want you to think about that when they're telling these stories about these people who opened like 5 credit cards or whatever this is to lose money. Like it's so predatory. It is so evil and predatory.
On a couple and just kind of piecemealed it together and made it work. So if you're willing to work through it, then we can absolutely make it happen. So once we're off the call, I can send you some more information on that. Sorry, and then this is like just for like info. Kiela says to try to close on the call. Alicia, I'm not sure if you've tried to do that. Sometimes in certain scenarios, like say a person is, for example, wanting a quad and part of the quad is an M guard. I'm like, an M guard is like, depends if it's on sale in the United States or not randomly, but like roughly say $1,400. In Canada, it's like 2,200. Most people have a credit card that they can tap into for that amount. So it depends on the situation. But I kind of just like navigate that as we go and kind of just feel it out. And in this situation, like Alicia is very much like telling me like they're maxed in a lot of places and like husband's going to be a no on the line of credit. So I'm not going to be like, okay, cool. Well, like, let's just do that anyway. So instead it's like, let's give her some options. And I wouldn't try that here because I think it would just cause resistance. But in a certain scenario, I think that it's fine. Okay. So yeah, so it's just a matter of being resourceful and we'll figure it away. Like if you're committed to it, then we'll absolutely make it work. I heard you mention your husband. Is he supportive of the idea of this? I mean, I'm sure that he's kind of aware. Looks like he's sitting beside you. He's kind of aware of this. It seems like you guys chat a lot and have a relationship where you're kind of like, it sounds like you're navigating the situation that you're in and he's very aware that you're wanting out of it, correct?
Yeah, he's very aware that I'm wanting to make some sort of change. And I did mention something about it. He was a little bit confused. I told him I was going to come back and explain more after we kind of had our call.
Okay. So if he's not supportive at that point, what do you do? How do you navigate that? Do you say, okay, well, you say, okay, well, I guess then I'm not moving forward, or do you still find a way, based on this conversation that we've had, how important is it to you to make it work? So what do you do in that situation?
Yeah.
See, this is how these MLMs end marriages. They do all the time. They end marriages all the time.
For me right now, it's pretty do or die. I need to make some sort of change. So if he's not supportive, I am pretty willing to make a change, whether or not he's supportive. I just have to figure out what that looks like right now, because if he's not supportive and things go sideways with us, I won't have that availability to the line of credit. So I just don't really know.
Exactly. Because if you wanted to leave your marriage, you would be better off, opening some credit cards that would give you some access to credit and everything that would, because like you're going to need some independent stuff and everything while you're getting the divorce worked out or whatever, but it's not going to help if you spend a bunch of it on this fucking scam. It's understandable that it causes a divorce a lot of the time. Like, when you married this person, you didn't think, like, they weren't in a cult when you married them, and now they are. That's really hard in a relationship when your partner joins a cult. Like,
what that would look like. Sorry, this is so awkward for us because like it was a bad situation.
Well, I mean, like the beauty of this is like, look how things have turned around for you guys. It's so beautiful. I love it. But okay, so like I know this is a little uncomfortable, but okay. What I was gonna say is I did hear you say, like when I mentioned like applying for the cards, you were like, yeah, that would be a good option because then I could apply for them on my own. So
they are really cute though.
it's saying that, like what I'm hearing you saying is like
her husband is like what I picture when I think Canadian.
you're at a spot where you're like, I need to make changes. Hopefully he's supportive, but if not, I'm applying for these cards on my own and I'm a big woman, like I'm a big girl, I can do this on my own and I'm gonna make it happen. So
you can, but I think that's pretty shitty. Like that's part of that's part of marriage is like you're supposed to like decide this shit together and like you're not always gonna agree. And like frankly, whichever partner it is that you're arguing with is correct. This is a scam. This is a cult. This is going to cost us a lot of money. And that's why they have input into it. That's why it is like perfectly reasonable for them to say, no, I don't think we should do this. We shouldn't do this. I don't agree to this. Let's suppose you do open this card behind your partner's back. And then suppose you don't make money because you won't make money. You won't. Maybe you will, except no, you won't. You're not going to. Okay. So then what are you going to do? Are you going to hide paying it off? Because she just said that like it takes at least a couple of months of not succeeding, right? How are you then? So that means the bill is going to come due on that card. How then are you going to pay that card without your partner finding out? And then what's going to happen when they do? Seriously, like that's a real question. How are you going to pay that off? What are you going to tell them? What are you going to say? Because you're not going to make money with it. So at least, and even if you end up making money with it, which you won't, it's not going to happen for at least several months. And also, you're going to have your shiny new water machine. It's going to get delivered to your house. What are you going to say when they ask, how did you pay for that? What did that cost? Because this isn't like some doTERRA oils that cost you like however many $100s. This thing costs several $1,000s. So how are you going to explain that being in your house when it arrives? What are you going to say? How are you going to say that you paid for it? If you didn't take it out of the bank account or on any of your joint credit cards, like how did you pay for that?
I mean, yeah, my recommendation would be for you to get started with the quad, and I can help you kind of navigate those next steps, and I can send you the information to actually apply for that. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that all sounds really good. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. And if anybody's following along the document at this spot right here, like this is essentially like them agreeing. So sometimes at this spot, it can be like a little bit like longer. I don't know if Meg is on this call. Meg, are you here? No. After we got off our call the other night, she was like, okay, like there was some like longer pauses and stuff like that. And I think just it's important to be aware that sometimes it's okay to just like let there be space for the person to like navigate their way through it and be okay with like it being silent as much as it can feel uncomfortable. It probably feels more uncomfortable for you than it does for them because they're literally in their mind being like, am I going to do this? Like all you're hearing is silence, but they're hearing everything. So just like give them a minute to just like breathe through it and like find themselves. But Alicia was like, yeah, I'm ready to go. But I mean, in some scenarios, like if the person is like quiet here, it's okay. Just like let the space for that to happen, which I know is very hard and is hard for me as well. But that typically works pretty good because it lets them make the decision, right? You give them the moment and they can kind of find their own words with it. Okay, so then at that point, I usually do offer some sort of like something. What's written in this document is a cashback bonus. If that's something that you want to do, you can offer that. I don't know, Alicia, if you or if like people in your organization, I'm sure have probably like something that you offer at this point. But
yeah, we offer multi-pure. I either offer a multi-pure if they're going with a quad, because I'm an affiliate with them, so I kind of get a kickback on that too, or an event ticket or half an event ticket depending on price. But
okay,
or yeah, even with a single K8, we offer a faucet. If they need a new faucet, we have like a super cheap $120 faucet off Amazon kind of thing that we offer.
Nice. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So I do think it's important to have like something at this spot. And I mean, Alicia just gave like 3 ideas of great options. Written into this document is like, hey, cash back. And you can change it up too. Like, in the month of November, we're doing this. And, I mean, and like this month, there's like the incentive to start now is like literally the promo. So, I mean, you could throw in something additional as well if you wanted, but this is almost just like, it's like one of those things, like when you go to a store and you see a shirt and it's like, if the shirt's $5 and it's on sale for $4, you're pumped. And it's like literally like if you found a loony, you wouldn't be excited about it, but you're excited because you got a deal, right? So people really just like feeling like there's some sort of like deal, right? And it can really just be like motivating to like have people move. And even if it's like not a huge amount, because like we're talking like if someone's investing in a quad, that's like $18,000. So there's pretty much nothing that you could offer here that's going to make them be like, oh, I'm going to do this because it's like so much cheaper now, right? It's like, unless you're going to be like, I'll give you like $7,000 back, right? Like it's a larger investment. And so this is really just to like, to kind of keep them moving forward and with a time frame, because what can happen is you get off the call and they've been like, yeah, like I'm gonna do this is great, and then suddenly they move out of their heart and they move into their head and now they're like, I'm just gonna think, I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna think, and my
Can you imagine? I mean, we wouldn't want that. We wouldn't want them to use their brain. Heaven forbid. Listen, I know that loony is what you call your money up there. You call it a dollar. What is it? A dollar coin? But like, I think we found the loony.
ego and my fear is gonna like rear its ugly head and tell me all the reasons why I'm gonna fail and all these bad things. And if they're
fear or logic or rationality or common sense,
that can especially happen if there's not something that they have to look toward, right? So if you give them something where it's like in 72 hours, like if you do X, Y, and Z within 72 hours, then X, Y, and Z happens. So you can plug in here whatever it is that you want it to be. But I just do recommend that there's something here.
Okay, if you watch this videotape, you're gonna die in 3 days. How about that?
This is kind of one of the reasons that I moved away from like trying to close on the call.
Yeah. None of that we just did was trying to close on the call. Like, you just convince yourself, right?
Both Kayla Hodges with the red training and Kiela said to close on the call. And I find it difficult to close on the call if you're like offering something that they're going to be like moving toward. So I moved this part out of my sales calls, and then I noticed the number of people actually closing went down. So for me, I'm like, I'm going to bring this part back in where I offer them something, and I'm not going to close on the call. You can't close on the call and offer them something if they move within 72 hours, right? It's just like, it like wouldn't work. They're like, well, I'm trying to do it right now, right? So for me, I'm for the most part not doing a close on the call anymore.
Oh, one of the people on the call, which I'm pretty sure I'm going to blur most of their faces out because like they're just victims here, and also one of them's a kid, has the cutest little girl sitting next to her. She's so cute. Oh, she's a cute little kid. Oh, I hope mommy doesn't join.
And instead I'm just saying, hey, you know, if within the next 72 hours you can get started, this is what's available to you. And if you're not wanting to do something that's like financially tied, like because you're like, hey, I'm like needing to make some cash here, it can be like mentorship. Like I know in my group, and I know Alicia, you do that as well. We talked about that the other day. So I know in my group, like I have the fast track mentorship, and that can like really be sold. Like you're on a call and you're at the close and you're like, if you move within the next 72 hours, my coach who has closed over $1 million in sales is going to help you close your first 15 to 30,000. And people are like, okay, that sounds great. And that's for
$1 million in sales. Like, it's not that much. I mean, not for like it, not if you're like proclaiming to be like this mogul, you know, like let's suppose if we're talking about this $18,000 package being like it's $1 million Canadian. Sorry. If it's this $18,000 package, that's only 55 sales, right? So I don't know. It's not, and this is like the coach. This is like the mentor. This is like what she's hyping up. Has successfully done this at most 55 times. Successful salespeople in my audience. How long did it take you to close $1 million in sales? Like, how many weeks would you say? How quickly did you reach 55 sales? Because I'm sure it was pretty fast. If you're a salesperson who, you know, works on commission at like a store or whatever, how fast did you reach $1 million? I'm sure it was pretty quick. Do I have any car salesmen out here? Because this thing costs about as much as a car, right? Okay, so car salesman. How long does it take you to sell 55 cars? Probably not that long.
for real. Like I literally will. And that's something like really, really valuable to people because there's already a lot of like fear around like, oh my gosh, like I don't actually know how to do this. And like, am I gonna have to do these calls like what you're doing right now? And like, I'm gonna have to, and so suddenly you've just eliminated all that fear for them, right? You're like, someone who's closed $1 million in sales is going to help you close your sales. And that can be very motivating to people. They're like, okay, I'm going to do this anyway. I might as well move within the next 72 hours so that I have help with my calls. So, okay, kind of go through that part. You kind of like tell them whatever it is that you're going to offer. And then, I mean, we kind of
730,000 US. You're saying it like not per year. You're saying like that's all they've ever done is $1 million Canadian in sales, which if it's 18,000 per sale, that's only 55 sales.
already covered this, Alicia. You know, let's say like that you don't get approved for the financing, but I feel like this kind of just depending on the situation, sometimes can go better in the portion where you're talking about like, okay, like how do you plan to pay for this? You know, you're going to apply for these cards. If you don't get approved, what are you planning to do? But if you haven't kind of navigated that yet, then at this point,
can you imagine getting declined on your application for credit and still trying to join this?
after you're talking about like, hey, you know, you've got 72 hours to make a move, then you can kind of bring this in. Okay, cool. Like we can wrap it up.
I think they should do 7 days. Also, let me explain something here. The reason that they're saying you have 72 hours is because, and they're not phrasing this, I would question if this is even fulfilling the legal requirements in Canada. MLMs in Canada are required to give you a 72-hour cooling off period. So they're like even if you did close on the call, they're required to still give you, like, if you decide in the next 72 hours, like, actually, I don't want to do this, they are required to refund you everything and like void your contract and stuff. Be like, that is the law in Canada, that you have a 72-hour cooling off period. So that's why they keep saying 72 hours. If that weren't the case, I'd be like, let's do 7 days. So it's kind of like The Ring, you know, like it'd be like 7 days. And you'd be like, oh, it's that Kangen water bitch again, you know? That's why she's in a well.
Pretty shortly here. Just wondering, like, if you don't get approved, do you have, some options or some like thoughts in your back pocket of other things that you could try? Or like, are you committed to actually doing this?
Yeah, I'm super committed to do it. And I don't know. I think I'll be able to figure it out, whether it's the credit.
I just want to add, in Canada, they are required not only to give you that 72-hour cooling off period, they are required to tell you that it exists. They are required to disclose to you that you have a 72-hour cooling off period. So if you get one of these pitches in Canada and they don't tell you that, that was illegal.
Card or Medicard, you've given me some really good options to explore. And if not, like I am willing to kind of maybe take some time and figure out a different route.
Okay. Yeah, because the thing with like actually making the commitment is that once you commit and you say that you're doing it, you can just leave it open to see what options come through. But the commitment part has to come first. And it sounds to me like you're very committed. And so then I have no doubts that you'll make it work. It's similar to the person who I was talking to you about who, she applied for, I think it was 5 different things and got denied on 2 or 3 of them and wound up going ahead with the ones that worked and kind of piecemealing it together. And that was just because in her head she was committed. So if you've got that commitment piece there, then you're good to go.
In her head, she was committed. Yeah, I'm telling you, she's going to the loony bin.
In that way. So I mean, just before we kind of like wrap it up, what can sometimes happen here is, we hop off this call, you're really excited, you go tell your best friend, you go tell your neighbor, you go possibly tell your husband, and suddenly they're not on board. And they can plant like a little bit of fear, maybe a little bit of doubts. And just so you know, it's not that they're bad. It's not that they're like pitting against you and something that you really want. In fact, it's the opposite. They don't know what you know. They haven't been following me. They haven't been on this call. They haven't watched the discovery process. They're not in our Facebook page. They have no proof of any of this working. They don't even know what it is. All that they know is whatever it is that you tell them, right? So typically what we do is we get off the call and we say, oh my gosh, I'm starting this new thing. And you can make up to $4,000 on your first sale. And all you have to do is like buy some water system. And they're like, nah, that sounds crazy, right? Because they don't know how the comp plan works. They don't know that there's other products. They don't know any of it. They don't know that the company's been around for 51 years. And so I just want you to know that if that happens, first of all, the person is not bad. They're actually on your side. They're trying very hard to protect you. But they're doing that without the knowledge that they actually need. So if that is your situation, you hop off this call and someone kind of pulls the like feather out of your hat about it, what do you do in that scenario? Like some ways that you can navigate that. Do you have anything in mind? It sounds like you're committed, but I just want you to kind of be aware of it in advance. Because I don't want
maybe don't say it sounds like you're committed.
Somebody to kind of like, just strip that from you, because you and I have had a very long conversation and it's very possible that this person who might do this doesn't even actually know how you're feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just don't know how you're feeling. Only we know how you're feeling. They don't understand. See? It's a cult. It's a cult. We understand you. They don't understand you. Your husband doesn't understand. We understand.
It's a hard one to answer. I'm going to be honest, Wendy, because this is exactly what happened to me. Is I went and told my best friend. She thought it was a scam, and she was the one who messaged Colin saying that Alicia's getting into a scam. So dial back.
You're in the business now, Alicia?
No, she's no, no. I've not talked to her since. Unfortunately, I completely lost that friend.
When you like when you get a new job and you have to cut off your friends because your job understands you, your friends don't understand you. Only we understand you.
She was the maid of honor in my wedding. It's like,
oh my goodness.
Cut off her maid of honor. She said that because she cared about you. And let me tell you something else. You cut her off. That's what you said. You said you haven't spoken to her since. She was the maid of honor at your wedding. It's a cult. MLMs are cults. It is a cult. It's a commercial cult.
a wild
Okay,
thing, but
Mm.
sorry, the question was, what am I going to do?
Mhm.
Well, I am a pretty like free thinker, and I am someone who, if someone doesn't support me in things, I just kind of will do things either way. So if I do run into anyone who
Is that your dialogue or is that like the script notes?
maybe doesn't think this is a real thing, like I know it is, so I'll probably just still move forward.
Yeah, you know it's real. You know the truth. Your friends don't know the truth. Your husband doesn't know the truth. We understand you. Trust us.
Okay.
Sorry,
That's
that's
good.
it's probably too easy for you, but that's really who I was and who I am.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Bitch is so easy.
Well, that's good because I think it's just it's important to not toss out this whole conversation because typically the person who would say something like that, you probably haven't told them like, hey, you know, I'm struggling mentally, I'm struggling emotionally, I'm anxious, I'm going to a job that I don't want to be in, I'm not feeling very well, my marriage isn't where I want it to be. Like you and I have discussed a lot of things.
My husband's on sniffies.
You opened up to me very easily, which made this really easy for us to navigate this conversation. And it's very likely that if you go to somebody and you say, oh, I'm planning to start this business and there's a water product and you can make lots of money, that person doesn't know what we've just talked
You could, but you won't.
about for the past hour, right? And they don't know how much you're wanting to actually.
They haven't been manipulated like you have. Also, you know, the people who are telling you no are people who like who are not in a vulnerable place, probably. You know, like the friend that she cut off probably like has her life together mostly.
Change. So I'm happy to hear that, you know, you would double down on your commitment and you would say like, you know, that's your opinion and those are your thoughts and
Well, of course you're happy to hear that.
not recognize them as being in the wrong or being bad, but just allowing them to have their opinion.
So that you cut them off. You know, they were the maid of honor at your wedding and you cut them off. We understand you. They don't understand you.
And just knowing full well that they're not aware of the information that you're aware of. So
you're smart. You're smarter than them. They're not in on the secret.
I think that's really good. That's a good place to begin where you're just like, you know what, I'll double down and I'll just move forward anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure you think that's a great place to begin.
So that's good to hear. So I think unless you have any other questions, if there's anything that we didn't cover, and aside from that, we can hop off. I'll send you the information for the cards. You can apply for them and then we can be in touch.
I just want to say that anytime someone's giving you a sales pitch and they are like giving you links to credit card applications, run. Okay, just run.
Does it feel okay to you to maybe be in touch in about 24 hours from now to kind of just see how that all worked out and what you got
Yeah, so that you're going to pester her for 24 hours.
approved for?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, perfect. And are there any other outstanding questions that you wanted to kind of go over? Or do you feel like, you know, most of what you needed to know was answered on this call?
Okay, so side note outside the call is, do you allow people to kind of ask questions about products and you'll kind of go into that? That's one thing that I get a lot is people will kind of ask questions about the products more so.
God, can you imagine? I like how we have not talked about the product at all this entire time.
Yeah, as I'm like coming to like close this, I'm like, I didn't actually open the floor for her to like actually ask any questions. So typically I would do that like before the close.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate how amazing it is that the product, like we haven't even I had to tell you what the product was. Okay? Cuz if you were just watching this, you would have no idea what the product even was. All they talked about was recruiting.
So like, you know, you're going through the part where you're like, you know, dream vision for the future. Like, what do you see in 3 to 5 years from now? You know, when it comes to like financing, you know, like what do you have on hand? You know, like, are you willing to work through that? They're like, yeah, I am. It's like, okay. Are there any other questions that you have that you need answered before you can like give a full commitment? And then that's kind of when I navigate those. I try like I'm like notorious for having like really long calls because I like have no parameters on like how many calls or how many questions they can ask. If it's like the spouse who like hasn't watched any info, I'm like, sorry, man. I'm like, you're gonna have to go watch what she watched. But if it's like the actual person and they're like, I've got 30 questions, I'm like, okay, let's do them. And I would probably suggest that you have like some boundaries around that. I have said in the past, like when people are asking things that I know have been covered, I'm like, it might be good for you to just hop back into that specific section of the discovery process, or it might be good for you to just watch the masterclass again, or whatever it may be, or like, oh, you know, I have a video that I think might really help you with that. I'll send it to you after the call, just to kind of like shorten the like time frame of the call and be able to like still support.
Right, because they want to get you to agree quickly. They don't want you to start thinking about the potential reasons why not, and they don't want you to think too hard about the product because the product sounds insane. And so if they start talking about that, then you're not going to join, right? Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think I had any questions on my call way back when. Honestly, I was just so full force for it.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those funny things too. Like, people can come with like a whole bunch of questions. Like how does it hook up to your faucet? And like how, like what are my chances of succeeding? And like what does the platform look like? And all of those things. But like the real thing that they want to know is like, is this the right fit for me? And they get the answer to that through the questions that we've asked. So sometimes, like, even if they've had like a full long list, by the time you get kind of to this point and you're like, do you have any questions? They're like, yeah, but like, like I think I'm okay. Maybe just, and they'll like throw one of them out there, right? So because I think in that moment they also realize they're like, she's just asked me a whole bunch of questions. I've realized that like I don't really like where things are at, and I just told her I'm like wanting to make a change. So what does it really matter, like if the 2.5 can also kill, like staphylococcus, right? It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
you're gonna be okay.
Do you right here? Do you see how irrelevant the product is? Do you see what an afterthought it is? They don't even want to talk about what it looks like. How does it work? They don't even want to talk about any of the capabilities of it. The product is irrelevant.
Without that question right now. So sometimes you'll see people just kind of like step down from their list at that point because you've now gotten them to a point where they've like opened up and they've like said like, yeah, I'm ready to do this. So
Yeah, I know I did see a comment up above. I think it was from Stacy, and she said that this was making her uncomfortable. And I just want to say from my perspective, it actually felt really nice.
That's called having a conscience.
And I know when I was doing my call with Ricky, it was kind of similar, is this was the first person who was asking me like how I actually was or what I was experiencing. So it wasn't uncomfortable. It was actually this space where someone opened up and said, how are you doing? Like, I know you have this house and you
It's a cult. It was the first time anyone ever understood me. Anyone cared. Kangen Water cares about you. Your friends don't care about you. Your husband doesn't care about you. We care about you.
have this job and you got a fancy car and everything looks good, but how are you? So it may feel uncomfortable from the outside, like watching someone go through it. But as the person experiencing it, it's honestly beautiful. And you really do have more trust in that coach because of that. Just kind of wanted to give that perspective. Even from way back when I did it with Ricky, it was like all my friends thought I was okay. Meanwhile, I was struggling so hard, and having someone say, hey, talk about you.
Is anyone still doubting that this is a cult?
Have this space, like I'm opening up the floor and I genuinely want to listen. It felt really good. So just to give that perspective.
yeah, thank you for adding that. The lady who I had the call with the other day, at the end of it, she said, I almost feel like you were kind of like a therapist. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I don't
Cult.
really know what to think of that. But like what she's trying to say is like nobody has like given her that time where she can just talk. What do you do with a therapist? You pay them so you can talk to them. Right. And she's like, I just got to talk to you for free. Like, how great is that? So you're totally right. And like, yeah, I mean, like, is it the most comfortable situation? Maybe, maybe not. It's maybe uncomfortable because typically in life we don't like go very deep with people. It's like, how are you? Oh, I'm good. Are you though? Right? Like, are you really? And I have had people on this call
Usually not in a business context either.
who you can tell if they're closed. Like you'll ask the questions and they're like, well, I don't know. I like just decided that, maybe I'd like give it a look, like see what it's like, check it out, whatever. And like they won't actually like open up and be like, I'm here because what I'm experiencing is like awful, right? There's this one lady in particular I'm thinking of, like,
They're saying the quiet parts out loud. Do you hear that? Like, it's always you got to have some vulnerability. That's what I just said. Yeah, you're here because things are awful. That's okay. If this were not a scam, it wouldn't be the script where there's always something awful before you start doing this business, right? There's a reason for that.
roughly 3 months ago. And she also, I should have like postured on that call a little bit better. She was driving in the car and I was like, okay, like it looks like you're driving. I'm like, are you sure that you've got like 45 minutes to an hour? And she's like, yeah, that's at least how far we're going. She was the passenger. And I'm like, okay, like sounds good. And she had her headphones on. So I was like, okay, like maybe we can still do this. Like she's kind of like in her own space, but like she didn't want to answer any questions because her sister's sitting beside her, right? And she didn't want her sister to know the situation. So eventually like the call's going
Right, because it's embarrassing to get sucked into a scam. That was your first warning sign.
on, she gets out of the vehicle, she's going into like a museum. And I was like, sorry, Tiffany, I'm like, we're gonna have to like end the call here because I like this could be a very important phone call for you and you're about to go into a museum. And she was like, okay, can we just reschedule it? And I was like, no, I'm like, at this point, we've been on the phone for like 45 minutes, almost an hour. And so either you're committed to like changing your life or you're going to the museum. And she was like, okay. She's like, yeah, I'll stay on the call. And she's like, what am I supposed to do with my sister though? And I'm like, she can go into
It's another really cute kid.
the museum. Like, I don't really know what you're gonna do with your sister, but like, it's not really up to me. And like, Her sister went to the museum. She went back to the vehicle, and it was like, here she is. And suddenly, like, everything was just allowed to flow. In the end, she still didn't start. She went and started an Instagram page. She like posted on her page that she's starting this new business, and then she talked herself out of it. She still has that post, and I'm like, should I comment? Are you ready yet? But anyways, that's besides the point.
I want you to think about the fact that she wouldn't talk to her sister about it, wouldn't talk about it around her sister.
What I'm trying to say is like, make sure you posture and like stick to your word. So if you're like, do you have 45 minutes to an hour? And they're like, yeah, but like, you know, my children are like all around and super busy, or I'm, you know, like also like making a meal at the same time, like say, we can reschedule because this is an important phone call. Because it sets a different tone that like lets them know that you're serious and you're here to show up for them. And it also gives them the space to be able to open up to you when you get into the conversation, right? Because it's important that they tell you like why they're wanting to make a change, and tell you that from like an open, like you want them to be open with you, and they can't be open with you if they're half concentrating or if their sister's sitting there, right? So
This is a cult.
as much as it might be like, oh, I got them on the call, like I don't want to let them go. I do recommend that just like make sure that you've got them and they're like completely with you, because that's when they'll open up and when you can like actually give them the opportunity to like express what they're feeling and what they've been experiencing. Okay, cool. Are there any questions? I don't have the chat open, but if there are not, then
I have one question just based on if they don't get approved for credit, and say maybe there is going to be a time delay, how do you kind of continue to support them during that time or keep them engaged with things during that time? This is like this is my broken link in my chain is between the call and getting people to truly commit and signing up. And maybe that's because they're waiting on credit, or they applied for credit but they're waiting for the card in the mail, and then the card obviously comes in the mail, but then they kind of ghost out in that period.
I think it's good, like in that in
Yeah, because they realized they could spend it on something more worthwhile. They're like, oh, wait a minute. Do I want to put this on this scam water machine, or do I want to, like, I don't know, take me to the Blackcomb Glacier, Daddy? Let's hit up Coolar Extreme.
between phase to try to like give them things, like give them content that's available to the community that they can like go over. So if there was something that they said on the call about like, you know, what does a hypochlorous acid do? And, you know, 2 days later, you're talking with them and they're like, yeah, I applied for the card. I'm like waiting for it to come. You're like, okay, cool. That's awesome. I'm going to send you a document about the water systems that you can learn a little bit more about how it works. Or I'm going to send you a video, whatever it may be, just something.
I like how you've applied for credit before you've even learned about the product. Also, I bet in Canada they say couloir instead of couloir. Probably say it Frenchier.
Like keep them connected and like tuned in based on like your conversation with them, right? Or like, you know, if they've been having like a bit of fear around it, or they've been having fear around like the actual investment side of it or whatever it may be, or like I have no experience, like I would go in and I'd find like one of the success doesn't discriminate calls, or you know, if there's somebody with like a very similar story to theirs, I'll like send them like, oh, like this is a person who started a couple years ago, and
Yeah, this is what happened once.
you know, she was also a teacher and whatever it may be, right? So like just kind of like keeping them engaged and like connected through things that would like be important to them. Okay, cool. That's that. Beginning, I'll say to them that like the intention of the call is for them to get clarity, but I'll also sometimes say it's also for me to get clarity, because sometimes, and like you might know in advance whether it's a person that you possibly would want to work with or not. But I think sometimes it's like important for them to know that you're like not there to just sell to anybody.
But you are, though. There is not a human being on this earth that they would refuse a sale to if they had the money.
And so then they can kind of like, that like allows them to show up like in a little bit of a different way, where they're like, okay, like she's also trying to figure this out, and we're not here just to like sling sales, like we're actually trying to figure out
But you are, though. Shut up.
if this is a good fit. But sorry, so back to your question, Chantel. Yeah, I mean, like there's this one lady who I've been in touch with for like a year and a half. And it was like, I'm gonna start before my baby's born. And then like, so she's, you know, suddenly she's like 6 months pregnant, 7 months pregnant, 8 months pregnant. I'm like, you know, anytime now, the baby's gonna come out. And then my baby came out, and she was like, maybe once my baby's 6 months old, you know, like it's really busy right now. I've got this baby. I'm like, okay, that makes sense to me. So then like baby's like 6 months old, and she's like, oh, I'm just like still not feeling quite ready. You know, maybe once baby's about a year, maybe sleeping through the night. I'm like, okay, sounds good. Baby's like a year old. And then that put us to like August, maybe of this year. And I was like, okay, like happy birthday, baby. And also, are you ready yet? And she was like, you know what? I'm just not quite there yet. How about October? And I'm like, okay, sounds good. So I wrote her down for October. October comes along and I'm like, oh, like lucky for her. We've got this like amazing promo in October. So I messaged her just like it's happening. I'm like, you're not going to believe it. I'm like, best month ever. After like a year and a half, you chose October. And October is a month where like you can start at a spot that nobody else has ever started at. This is incredible. She's like, this is great. Everything's like flying forward. She's got her card. She's ready to go. And then she's like cold feet again. She all of a sudden she had a migraine on the day of our call. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I'm like, should we rebook? She's like, for Wednesday. I'm like, Wednesday is like 6 days from now. I'm like, your migraine is going to last a very long time. And so I think too, so like eventually what I wound up just saying to her was like, and like, not in a rude way, but like if you've been doing this dance with somebody for like a really long time, Chantal, it's okay to just like release them because you will like literally just breathe a sigh of relief. So that's what I finally did with her. I was just like, you know what? I
want you to think about the effort that she just described. This has been going on for like what, like two and a half years now? This is for one sale. I hope you had a really long interest-free period on that credit card that you signed up using. 'Cause that thing's over. Seems like it's pretty hard to make a sale.
not saying that I won't ever work with you in the future, but right now you aren't ready and I can't spend any more energy on this and I can't take any more of your energy for this either. This isn't good for you. It's not constructive for you and your time with your family and your children. And it's not constructive for me. Because also what she would always do is like, yeah, like I think I'm almost ready, but I have to try the water first. I think I'm almost ready, but this. I think I'm almost ready, but that. And by the way, she wound up trying.
Can you imagine wanting to try the product first?
Okay, cool. Yeah, you bet. Okay, I'm gonna hop off because it's midnight here. But thank you everyone for showing up. Hopefully that was helpful. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye, bitch. So, I just wanted to show you that one because it's a fucking cult. And it was a very clear demonstration of how it's a cult. You have like the financial manipulation. You have like, it was the very explicit attempt to isolate you from your friends and family, including your spouse. It's gross. Yeah. Disgusting. Ugh. Alright. I've been Mac. Peace out. Bye!